But then later on, we found out that he was a little bit ahead on the grid, and he got a five
The
second
fast lane.
penalty. And we also, I love the F1 TV editors because they put Max Verstappen saying, "Hey, Lando is out of the grid."
The
So
radio.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
he's like 4 places behind, and he's still taking a look at his
he has eagle
probably.
eyes, dude. He can
Well,
see.
well, he is the TV
There was a moment where I was like, wait, what happened to Russell? He's like
20.
20th, and I go like, I didn't see anything happen.
I feel like Austria has something special. I don't know.
Yep.
He never shows emotion, man. When he wins, he's like, "Oh, great job! You did a great job! Great job! You did a great job."
He,
He's not like jumping out of like.
welcome back to turn three, guys. Lots to talk about this week, so we'll get started.
Super eventful. Let's get right into it.
Okay, so it's a few hours after the Bahrain Grand Prix
Mm-hmm.
2025. Um, uh, like we said, lots to talk about.
Lots of talk. It's so. This is what it's beautiful about Formula One, right? Like last week was a good race, but not an eventful one. There was nothing other like a couple of things happened right last time on Japan, and then we come back to this one, and it's like there's so much to talk about it, man. Like I don't really know what to focus, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna forget stuff because
Yeah,
of so many things happened this week.
yeah. We've kind of, like behind the scenes, we've been talking about making the videos a little bit shorter, a bit
Hmm.
just more like concise, if you will. But it's gonna be hard. We're gonna miss a lot of things, right? So,
Yeah.
but we've sort of highlighted some of the stuff that we think is the most important, and that's what we'll talk about today. So, starting with, do you remember last week we did predictions?
It's kind of there in the back of the of my mind, you
You're
know.
choosing to forget on purpose,
No,
but
man, I swear that's just the way I am.
maybe we can get the editor to put in my predictions, but maybe we don't need to, right? I'll tell you. So
I think we need to. Think we need to get the score right here, editor. Please, if you could,
don't
we'll
worry.
give the point to Edgar. He deserves it. He got. Okay,
so
tell us who do you got?
so my predictions was P1 was going to be Piastri,
Mm-hmm.
and then I said Hamilton, and then I said Norris.
Correct, correct.
Um, and I got 2 of 3 right.
Dude,
So
that's more than me. So
yeah, so I'll take it. I'm
so
I'm
you
pretty
took
excited
the
about that.
first point of this prediction contest
Yeah.
between you and me for this week. So we'll see how
Yep.
we finish. Last year you got the best of it, so maybe you have to be the one doing the predictions from now on.
From
We'll
now
see
on.
at the end of the season.
I might date myself, but there's the movie Back to the Future where the guy goes in the past
Oh
and he has the almanac. I
yeah.
think that's that.
Do you have one?
I'm not gonna say
I'm not
anything,
gonna
but
say. I pledge the fifth.
let's just. So yeah, let's talk about McLaren and well Piastri, right? So phenomenal drive,
The whole
just
weekend, not just the drive. I think he was. If you see the practices, he was okay with it. But then we get to quali, and he was on Q3. He was there. Q2 was there, and at the end of Q1, man. Sorry, at the end of Q3, he was on top of it, and I think that was really needed. Um, he needed the pole to in
sure
order to get the win 100%, kind of like his best probabilities, and he did it right.
he did. Yeah, it was a very exciting quali. I don't know if
Hmm.
you remember like Q3. Those last 5 minutes are always
Yeah,
really exciting. And I just remember sort of jumping out of my seat and being like, "Go Oscar!"
yeah,
Because it was just it was a great drive by him. Um, and then we when I fast forward to the race and he has a just a phenomenal start.
hmm,
Russell's kind of like fighting for
yeah,
the
yeah.
spot, but he keeps it, and then he kind of gives me Verstappen vibes where he just
Yeah.
disappears, and then it's a matter of okay, well, who's gonna win second? So he disappeared. It was just a great race by Piastri.
Yeah, yeah. Just like you said, he first of all he got the pole on Saturday with the qualies, of course. Again, he dominated pretty much the whole weekend, and then he got a good start on the race, right? And after that, it's pretty. You need to control the race. You need to take care of your tires, and he just did. And lap by lap, he was getting more and more time between the second place and himself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, really, the only time he lost the place was when he was pitting, but I mean, that's to be expected.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and yeah, of course, and we can fast forward a little bit more, right? And then we got a safety car
hmm
during the race, and he was, I think, already 8 seconds ahead of the second place. So of course, safety car comes out, and they squeeze them again, and of course, this is where the mentality of champions comes into play, right? He's like, okay, it's another restart. I have the second place right behind me. We all have newer tires because all of them went to the pits, and now it's again prove him to himself that he's not gonna let anyone take his win.
Yeah, it was his win, and
Hmm.
just a phenomenal race from him. I keep saying that because I truly that's how I feel about the race and his performance this week. So, Lando, on the other hand, he did well too. I feel like he was struggling a little bit more.
It wasn't his weekend. I
No,
think he wasn't like Oscar in the zone. I feel because of course they supposedly have the same car, so they should be compared to each other. But I guess Oscar was the better driver this weekend, and yeah, Lando and like quali he didn't do great.
mm,
I think he got P6 on qualis. He started P6. He did a great start. He recovered like 3 positions, but then later on, we found out that he was a little bit ahead on the grid, and he got a five
the five
second
second.
penalty. And we also, I love the F1 TV editors because they put Max Verstappen saying, "Hey, Lando is out of the grid."
The
So
radio,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
he's like 4 places behind, and he's still taking a look at his
he has eagle
probably.
eyes, dude. He can
Well,
see.
well, he is taking a look at his possible rivals in the championship. So he's looking
That's
at
true.
Lando, and I'm pretty sure at Oscar nowadays. But
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, he has everyone on that. That's a champion right there.
yeah. So after this race, we were talking about 3 points difference between Piastri and Lando Norris. So Lando is still in the lead for the championship, but
Hmm.
just by 3 points. It's anybody's championship at
Is
this
it?
point.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that's very exciting to me because last week I declared myself a Piastri, officially a
Yeah,
Piastri
yeah.
fan.
I declare myself a Hamilton. I don't think he's gonna win or win a championship, but I still he I think every race he's getting a little bit more
Mm,
comfortable in that Ferrari, and yeah, hopefully he gets in the top in the podium at some point.
yeah, for sure. Um, and because we're talking about Ferrari, Charles also had a
Yeah.
pretty good race. He did some really good defending, right?
Yes, yes. I think what unfortunately for both Ferraris, they had really bad luck in the strategy. I think it wasn't the best strategy. At the end, both of them were on hard tires, which was not the best tire, I think, to be on the last stint. But I think that comes into play with the strategy of each team. And I think they chose that hard because they didn't have any more mediums because they use them already during practices and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think for McLaren was the only one with mediums at the last stint. So that was the tire to be on at the end, I
yeah, for
think.
sure. Yeah, and I think George Russell was on like a softer tire
Mm-hmm.
than
Mm-hmm.
so it was bound to happen, like he switched to those tires pretty early on in the well, I mean it was like 20 laps or something before the end
Mm-hmm.
of the race, and so it was bound to happen. The performance was it was bound to
Yeah.
degrade, and at some point, the car behind them was gonna just do better. So
Lando was catching up. They were fighting till the last lap,
yeah,
and good driving by Russell. He defended his second place till the end, and
yeah,
he was the one. And on top of that, you have to give it more recognition to him because he was dealing with more than issues in the car too. He had DRS problems. I think they were not working. He had problems with the GPS because I don't know if you noticed, like when I was watching the TV, the race, the name on the table, he wasn't there. He was out of place, so it was kind of hard to track it if they didn't show it on the TV.
there was a moment where I was like, wait, what happened to Russell? He's like
20
20th, and I go like I didn't see anything happen. But no, it was just the it has what's the official name? It's like the GPS.
transponder or something.
Yeah, something.
But yeah, it's the GPS, and that goes in hand with the DRS because the DRS works where there's zones, and they use the GPS
Mm,
to be able to turn on, turn off in
okay,
those areas. And because it didn't work, he had to eyeball it, kind of like turn it on and turn it off. Because yeah, and there was we found out there was a penalty, or no, the stewards were gonna take a review because he used the DRS in a zone where he's not supposed to, and that's because of the problems they were having. He was called into the stewards' rooms after the race, and there was no penalty or nothing. I guess it was out of their hands, and the stewards realized that, and it was like, okay, there was no advantage either. So
got it.
yeah,
It was a technical issue, and it's him trying to do the best that he can. And so he also probably didn't get very much of an advantage from using it.
Yeah,
They look at these things and they say, well, like it's not like when you overtake somebody outside of the track that there's an obvious advantage to that.
correct,
But
correct.
this is something that's just like,
Out of his control again. I'm not really sure if it was to me, I need to research a little bit more. I don't know if it was the team's fault or something like you're saying mechanically or like software or something, but it's on the team side, or maybe it's the FIA because I guess they also use the GPS to track the cars and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they're gonna look into it. They probably already did, and they're
sure.
gonna fix it. That things can happen in Formula One, to be honest.
Yeah. And speaking of things that happen, both Red Bull cars had some like really weird pit stop,
Yeah,
mm, you know,
yeah.
stuff happen to them. Um, so they go in for the pit stops and then they finish working on the car and they just sit there because the flashing light is still going. That I don't remember, but that added a lot of time to the
Yeah,
pit
yeah.
stops.
And then I think there were pit stops, crucial pit stops because they had their other drivers right behind them fighting for position. So one or yeah, I think it was 1.5 or 2 seconds that they lost because of the lights. And yeah, it could have been one place or another. More points for them.
Yeah. And in a world where Max is really fighting for points right now to try to get back to, last year's domination or the year before that's domination. Those are important, like really, really crucial, mishaps, I guess.
I think we have seen it year and year. Like we believe like okay, someone is gonna dominate, and at some point, Max Verstappen, I think 2023, they dominate. Red Bull dominated, right? But we have seen 2021 when they go all the way till the last race, and 1 point makes the difference, 2 point makes the difference. So that's what we love Formula One,
For
right?
sure.
Anything I have, I was watching the race with my girlfriend, right? And before the safety car came out, she was like, "Oh, they are gonna finish like that. It's already set up. Everybody was distancing himself and everything." And then I told her like, anything had happened in Formula One, like if one guy crashes or something happens, everything again it
Yeah.
becomes super interesting. And that's what they did. I think it was Sainz and I think it was Sonora. I'm not sure there was, but there were a collision which
Oh, that's
got
right.
some debris from the Williams in the racetrack, and that's why the safety car came out.
Says they can clean that. Yeah.
So they could clean because I think at some point, if they didn't clean it, someone was gonna drive over the carbon and they were gonna lose the tire, and
It's
it was probably gonna be a bigger thing.
Yeah, it's really sharp stuff. I mean, especially when it's like broken off into pieces like that. Like
hmm
you definitely don't want to be driving over that. Um,
So, what do you think if you were the FIA responsible person of calling the safety car? Would you have done it? Because I think that it took like a couple of laps for them to call it.
that's right.
I heard some of the people saying like it could have been a virtual safety car, so it didn't lose
Mm.
too much. So it was a little bit maybe over the top calling it. I'm not really sure. What do you think?
I think, like with most things in Formula One, I think it's more about the safety of the drivers, and I think that it's paramount. I
hmm
don't think that you're gonna take chances with the safety or the lives of the drivers. So they're driving very high speeds, and the last thing you want is a puncture on a tire. I mean
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, no, I totally agree with you. I think the person in charge took the safety of everybody involved, the drivers, the staff, the even the people the that are watching the race at that moment, and they decided like, okay, it's best to put a safety car out there and clean it, and let's get back to racing. A little controversial call, but I think it was the right call at the end of the day.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. And we've talked about it before. Is sometimes the safety of the drivers and the just the safety of the sport sort of uh, gets in the way of what we like to see
As
as
fans,
fans or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
but I anything that makes the sport more safe and so we can continue to watch it, I think is totally worth it. So,
yeah, yeah, for
which
sure.
it sounds like such a like a public relations response, but generally that's how I feel. So.
maybe the comments will roast me, but I expect like I love when the rain comes or
Yeah,
there's like a crash. I hope no one's everybody's safe, right? But I love it because it changes everything, man. You
yeah.
feel like everything is set up in stone, and then you see the 20th place win the race because of something happened. So that's the beautiful thing about Formula One. Anything can happen, and you don't know until you see that black and white flag,
Yeah.
checker flag, and you know you win, and that's when you can rest.
Dude, I'm gonna confess something in front of all of our fans, right?
All of
So I'm watching the race, and at some point I pull my phone out, and then it says possible rain, but that's like here where we live.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I go, this is gonna be awesome, right? Because it's already a
Oh
crazy
my
race
god.
and it's gonna rain. And I was like, oh wait, they're like in a different
Mm,
part of the world.
yeah, yeah,
It's not the
yeah.
same thing.
They're in a desert right
Yeah,
now.
but like for a second my brain was like, this is gonna be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I just it's so funny. Another cool thing, right? Double points for Haas.
Yes,
Dude.
yes. It came out of nowhere. Like
Yeah.
to be honest, they did a great job. Especially Ocon after the qualifier, he crashed in Q2, and of course the team had a lot of rebuilding to do. They had to work during the night to put the car back together, and I think he felt a little bit. It was his fault a little bit, so he felt like he needed to do something, and with everything that happened during the race, with the again the safety car, all of the pit stops and everything, he was able to get double points for the team. So yeah, great weekend for them, and I don't think they even expected them.
No, Ollie Behrman, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it like P10 or something like that?
P10, P10.
Just a good drive from him, and if he keeps this up, I think the Haas is in for a pretty good season.
Yeah, yeah, another rookie, another
Another
rookie.
rookie.
I think we also see it's a good change topic. We saw a lot of the rookies showing what they're meant to. We saw Kimi Antonelli, we see Behrman, we see Duhan, all of them fighting for the position. I think it was they were fighting for P10, P9, but they were like all over each other, like,
Yeah,
fighting and everything, defending. It was great seeing how the rookies are trying to go over.
yeah, it's great to see. Like obviously we pay a lot of attention to the front of the grid, right? But
Mhm.
we forget that there's this whole other side of like the new generation of drivers that are like up and coming, that will eventually be the people that we're talking about. Like 2 or 3 years in the future, we'll be talking about like
Well,
Bearman domination or whatever.
we're already talking about it. Like
Yeah,
Piastri is, I know he has a couple of season already, but he's kind of. I still
I,
feel like he's still a rookie, and I think this year it could be his chance to fight for a championship, like for
yeah, for
himself.
sure.
So yeah, yeah, it's amazing what these new generations of drivers like. We see Kimi Antonelli, 18 years old, fighting for P10. I think he was close P11. He finished, fighting for points. Oli Berman P10. Yeah, yeah, these
Well,
rookies.
and if you think about it, so Piastri, if it wasn't for in the first race, there was the rain, and he
Mm-hmm.
ended up
Mm-hmm.
further back. If he had come a little bit closer to the podium in that race, I think we'd be looking. I mean, potentially, he might have been in a better position than Norris.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? I mean, that's
yeah,
always
yeah,
the
yeah.
case.
And
But like, it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities that Piastri could be the champion.
again, they two both great drivers.
Mhm.
I think Norris has a little bit more experience, a little bit more season, but I feel like um I feel like Austria has something special. I don't know.
Yeah.
He never shows emotion, man. When he wins, he's like, "Oh, great job! You did a great job! Great job! You did a great job."
He
He's not like jumping out of and he was like, "Oh, there's gonna be a great party tonight. I'm not gonna be a part of it. I have to go." And he's
yeah,
already thinking about the next race.
and it's
He's
just
already thinking about the championship, man.
he's got that like like serial killer calmness about him. Like no matter what, like he's just kind of like
He,
at
he
the same. Like
he's
he
like a
has
robot, man.
yeah, he's a
No
robot.
emotions. Like
You know what? I like robot better than I like serial killer.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
probably the
yeah.
best way to describe him. Not serial killer. He's not a serial killer. I think I'm gonna give a spicy opinion here. So it's you ready?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think that Norris has like his performance ebbs and flows. Like it's up and down, right?
Yeah.
And he has really really good performances and then not so good performances, and he's very just cyclical, or call it whatever you want to call it. Um, and I think that Piastri's is just more consistent,
Hmm.
like it is what it is. He's, like he drives the same way. I think he's just a more consistent driver.
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like that is more conducive to winning a championship.
Yeah, you need to be like you're saying more constant, more into the points. What it matters if you win 10 of the races but you're not in the points in the other 20, like it doesn't really matter. Again, you have to be consistent. You don't have to win all the races, but if you're like in the podium, you can fight for the championship, right? So
Okay.
I totally
So
agree with
your
you.
opinion, do you think that makes him a better driver than Lando Norris?
Ah,
Ooh,
that's a good
there's a
question. That's a good question.
ooh.
I'm not sure, man. I think maybe Lando, just for the little more experience that he has, maybe has an advantage. But like you're saying, like maybe his emotions play too much with himself because what I saw this weekend is like he was struggling because errors that he make himself, not because of the car so much. But at the same time, I saw a recovery because he got a 5 second penalty. He got those points back. He got a good start, so he got like three positions right there. So he still there's a hunger in there, but we're seeing another really great driver, a talent
I
driver,
but,
giving
but
him the fights.
but how much do you attribute that to the car? I
Oof.
mean, it's there's not an answer here.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
just there's not like I can pull out and
I
data or anything like that. Like it's
Answering
just
your answer, sorry, answering your question, I think Lando has it's a little bit ahead of Oscar, but maybe during the season we'll see Oscar is stepping over Lando at some
I hope
point.
so, man. I want to see it. I want to Oscar domination.
I want to see the papaya rules coming
Papaya
later
rules.
on the. It's too early for the
Yeah,
season, but maybe when we're seeing them fight for the points, or maybe we'll see another driver come into the mix for the championship. We'll see how McLaren are gonna decide,
yeah.
like giving some places back to one in some races or
I
not.
I'm I, me with my predictions, right? I
Yeah,
think I'm gonna say a prediction right now, and I think maybe I'll regret having said this. I don't know if it'll be in the next 5 races, probably not. But at some point in this season, I think that McLaren will start doing the whole like papaya rules. Lando let him through.
in favor of Oscar,
In
you were
favor of
saying.
Oscar, yeah.
Oh my
Let
god.
him through. Let him through. He's
Yeah,
got the
yeah.
pace.
I think it depends on the points, right? But if they're close, I think they're gonna leave them fight. But I think it comes it comes down to one final question: who does Zach Brown likes more?
That's another
That
thing is Lando has stood by them
yeah,
through thick and
thinking
thin.
yeah, yeah.
So there is that loyalty. But is that enough? I mean, we sort of touched
Uh,
on this last time. Is that enough to have them prefer him for the whole season when
who-
he's not maybe performing at the level
The
that
common
Oscar is?
sense answer is no, but the emotions play a part, and I think it matters. I
Okay.
think it matters that Lando was there since the beginning, and I don't know. I think you have seen the Formula One Netflix show, the Drive to Survive. I think this last season, or we saw we saw Zach Brown saying like, "I promise Lando that I'm gonna give him his championship, kind of
Yeah.
his first race, his championship." So I think there's some feelings there, but at the end of the day, the clock doesn't lie. So if Oscar is faster than Lando on the time, it doesn't matter.
They may not have. And that's another thing is if it even gets to papaya rules, right?
Hmm.
Because it may just be that like Piastri's ahead, and then there's it's not like they can give team orders, when he's in fourth place, and
Yeah.
so I I don't know.
I think it comes down to Oscar being in the position where they even can't ask him to do anything like that. Like you're saying, if Oscar is in pole and Lando is on sixth place, they're not gonna trade places, right? But if they're in first and second, okay, maybe they will try something.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. But I do think, and that's my crazy prediction is that at some point during the year we're gonna hear that Lando let Oscar through, and it's not even like give back the position. It'll
Yeah.
be like let him through because he's got more pace than you.
It would be great. I have heard about these team rivalries through the years, like really great drivers. I personally, since I started watching Formula One, I haven't seen it,
Mhm.
I hope we get to see one like they have the best car and we're seeing teammates fight each other cleanly, right? But they're fighting like we are gonna see one race is gonna be Oscar P1 and then Lando P2, and then the next race we're gonna see Lando
Well,
P1. It would be great. It would be great a team fight, but
I
clean,
mean, if
but
we go back to, I think it was like the 90s where it was like Prost and
correct.
Senna, right? Like where
Exactly.
they're both really good drivers, they
Hmm.
have the best car, and it's just a matter of
Who's
yeah,
gonna be the best driver at the end of the season?
and yeah. We'll see, man. I'm excited. Here's another maybe spicy opinion or question rather. Is this the end of Max domination?
Oof, oof, oof. Right now, I'm gonna say yes. Right now, as you see it on this race, I think Red Bull are starting to crack.
Hmm.
Unless they bring super upgrades during the year, I don't think that they have a chance. I think Max is gonna he's showing us he's still Max. Like he got one position back at the last lap,
Yeah,
just like okay, I'm not in the best car or the best position, but I'm still gonna fight for every single point, and he's hoping that it's gonna worth it at the end, right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Yuki also he made it into the point, so he's doing good. They finally have a driver, a second driver who's putting points on the board. I mean, it's better than what
Yeah.
they had before.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I think he's getting better. He's practicing probably. Again, he didn't have as much time as Leon had before
sure,
to get used to it. So he's kind of like trying to catch up to the car, and he's getting, like you're saying, he's getting points. So it's better than nothing for
for
sure,
sure.
for sure. One last thing I want to mention, one that we didn't discuss, is also someone out of place is Pierre Gasly with Alpine.
That's right.
Super surprising. I always been a fan of Gasly. He is ever since he was in Toro Rosso and he won that Monza race with the
Yeah,
rain and everything. Uh, I've been a fan of him, and if you give him a car, he's gonna fight for it. I think he's in the level with Lando, with Max, with all of them. It's just unfortunately he doesn't have the car to be fighting with those guys at the moment right
yeah, for
now.
sure. It
But
was a big surprise, and I think it was even during like qualies that he qualified in
mhm.
fifth position. That was really really surprising to me. I was like, hey, like that's really
We
interesting.
saw Alpine last year struggling, like almost last place or the place before last as a team. So yeah, it's good to see them getting ahead a little bit more, out of
Yeah,
place even though. But yeah, great race for Gasly too, fighting against champ Max Verstappen. I think he
yeah,
was, and there was an interview after the race where he was saying like, yeah, not as happy as I wanted to be, right? Because I was fighting with Max during 10, 15 laps, and I got him in the back throughout the 15 laps. And then at the last lap, he got to me. So, yeah, again, he was a little bit sad, but again, no one expected to be on those points. So,
yeah, for sure, and especially not in the Alpine. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah, another great drive, and just it was a good weekend. All of us
It
like
was a great weekend, man. Again, Qualis was great. A lot of
really exciting.
excitement, and then I'm gonna say it again. Week was Japan, right? On a Benful race, and we go to Bahrain, which it has so much to talk about. We could be talking 2 more hours if we wanted
For sure.
to, if we wanted all the details. But
But we're
we
not gonna
just,
subject them to
yeah.
that.
But yeah, a lot of stuff happened for
Yeah, a lot of
sure.
stuff. We probably missed a lot of stuff, but I think we're getting close to time
Yeah, yeah.
here. Next week, another race,
Saudi.
Saudi. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
predictions.
I'm gonna change again. I think I'm looking at the picture better. I'm gonna give it to Lando, hoping that he gets back into the points, in the first place. So I'm gonna be Lando, and then I'm gonna give him Oscar, and I'm gonna give Leclerc. I think that's gonna
Oh,
be my
interesting.
podium.
Okay, you ready for mine?
Yes,
Let
yes,
me
yes.
let me check the almanac again real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah,
Hold
yeah.
on. So P1 as I'm just gonna go for it. I think it's gonna be another Oscar Piastri win. Um, and then P2, I think we're gonna have George Russell,
Mm-hmm.
and then in P3, I think we're gonna have Max Verstappen.
Mm-hmm. Pretty
What do
good,
you
pretty
think?
good.
Is it a
I
crazy prediction? Do you think?
No, no. I think the crazy part is Max. Actually, I
Yeah,
think it's hard to believe now because where the car is. that could be fighting for podiums, but you can never discard Max Verstappen. He has shown over and over that even if he's not the favorite, even if he doesn't have the best car, he will give 120% for
Yeah.
sure.
And here's the thing, right? Is I think that Lando Norris has like a he can either be his best like supporter or his best like motivator,
Hmm.
and then the opposite of that, whatever, like the
His
person who defeats
worst
him or
enemy.
something, his
Yeah,
worst
yeah.
enemy, exactly. Um, he has a bad weekend or he has a bad qualifying session, and I feel like that's sort of there's a psyche that goes along with it that
Hmm.
where he
Hmm.
kind of gets in a rut. And then he does a really good like qualifying session, and then that sort of boosts his morale. Oops.
Hmm.
He it boosts his morale, and he does a he has a great race. Um, Max, on the other hand, I feel like Max is like, I didn't do good this weekend, so I'm gonna sit on the sim for 24 hours a day for 7 days a week until the next race,
Hmm.
and then just like hammer this out. Like I'm gonna improve one
Yeah.
way or the other. Whether even with a faulty car, I'm going to improve. And I think that is the mentality that I have for putting him on the podium. I think he's gonna come back stronger because he just doesn't like where he was
Yeah.
this week.
Yeah. He's not a fan of being out of place, and he wants to get back to the top for sure,
Yeah,
as fast as possible.
for sure. That's my prediction. So
Yeah.
we'll see
We'll
where
see.
where
We'll
that
see.
takes us, man.
Yeah. Right now, again, 1 against 0. We'll
One
see.
point here,
Yeah.
0 points there.
But we'll see next week.
We'll see. Yeah. Um,
I think that's it for this week. It was a great weekend again. Yeah, excited for the next one. Hopefully, it's as good as this one.
I hope so.
Not so much as Japan. Hopefully, even though it was good, but I'm more of a fan of this kind of racing for sure.
Yeah, same here.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next week.